we have Dr. Parmar here. So Mukesh, you are in a very special position. You're a doctor yourself, and who can understand fellow doctors than a doctor himself? You also are in a unique position because you interact with pharma companies and you understand their pain points. Having this community of doctors who are almost 4 lakh doctors, and you keep them engaged day in and day out, you're master of content. And that's is the stickiness because of which doctors keep coming back to your platform. So my question to you is that when brand managers and the sales teams actually move a little in a zone of digital, what kind of content should be created? What is that intelligent content, and how do you build brand stories around it so that great content ultimately helps brand, because that's where generally commercial teams focus is. So what is your take on that?
Thank you so much, Gauri, for not just the question, but also the kind words. And let me just take this opportunity once again, just like my fellow panelists, to thank you as well as Srihari and Nextplan team for inviting me for this. It's great to share the screen, I must say, with the eminent industry experts here and seeing all of them once again after a long time. But thank you once again, and thank you all the attendees who are there taking out their Friday evenings to attend this webinar and understand more about Phygital, so to speak. As far as the question goes, you're right. So with DocPlexus, we obviously have close to 4 lakh clinicians across India who are engaging with us across, almost 90 plus specialities. So we create content every day. And so talking about it being we are masters or not, I would just maybe say that our experience on content has been amazing, and it's been obviously a learning process in itself. Just like what Anil, Manish have mentioned about it being a continuum, obviously stays as a fact. It cannot be looked at a one-off solution or a one-time experience. But I would like to divide my response into maybe 3 parts. I would want to start with content creation, then content presentation, and then content dissemination, because all of them will have different elements to it. So when it comes to content creation, it all begins with the big name of insights, that term insights that we talk about all the time, customer insights. A lot of the brands which exist already, and we already have customer insights from the past, I think we have done a great job there through our sales team, through conferences, through our advisory boards, through, the panel of experts, R&D, whatever in the past that we've had. Those insights are great. How do we validate those insights? That's one. We have new brands that are coming up. You would launch new brands as well. You might launch something more in the future, purely digital brands. How do you generate insights for those digitally? So we actually use 2 tools on DocPlexus. One is social listening, and the other is mindset analysis. They both obviously have a bit of an artificial intelligence component to it, along with my team that actually works manually on that as well. What we do is we try and generate insights based on not just the brand, but also about competitor brands, also about that sort of speciality that we're talking about, that customer segment, maybe specific geographies. And these are unprompted conversations that happen every day on our platform because we have so many clinicians. Because they're unprompted, obviously they are a little bit more unbiased, and which gives us a great position to be able to not just tap into that, but be able to pick that and create insight. Obviously, we also do prompted conversations through Dipstick, through primary research, and generate insights so that you can do a pre and post content mindset analysis. So that's where the content creation comes in. But I think the most important bit in digital content marketing in general is personalization. How is your brand story personalized? I should not be a brand manager who is creating a broadcast message for millions of doctors or millions of consumers. I should be speaking right in front of you, to you, one on one, and my brand story should not just make sense to you. So obviously, you're sort of following the IDA framework of attention, interest, desire, and action right from every way you communicate. But it's important to make it very personal and customize it. So I think something what also Anil touched upon a little earlier about personalization of the entire content and the brand story. Then comes the whole point about what format would you want to present this content in? And that is based on trends that you want to analyze. What is the way in which your brand story will shine the best? Through a video, through an infographic, through an article, a short article, a big article? Do you want to do a webinar? Do you want to do a series of webinars? Do you want to do KOL interactions? Maybe have virtual interactions, hold an e-conference, so on and so forth. So you need to see how your brand story, which is again a continuum of experiences, how or which format of content works the best for it. And then obviously comes to the point 2, which is content presentation. Based on those insights or analytics of what kind of formats work, you would be able to go ahead and present that. And you present it in a way where it is visualized data, it is clear, it's crisp. You're using evidence as well. Since we are speaking with doctors here who are prescribing, you have to use the language which is comfortable for them, but don't just throw evidence in their faces. Don't just talk about cohort analysis and odds ratio and talk about multiple indices which might not make sense to everyone. These doctors are also looking at key takeaways from that. How do you simplify that? How do you simplify your content to make it understandable and relatable? Obviously, the key here is also to identify who's your target audience. Are you speaking with a GP, or are you speaking with a neurophysician, or are you talking to an oncologist? So the language has to also sort of tweak based on that. And so keeping it crisp, clear, scientific, evidence-based, and not just flagrant advertising is obviously the key. And finally, you have to also remember that when you're presenting the data, almost 80 to 85% of your doctors today are consuming all this content on mobile. So you have to keep the content mobile friendly. It actually needs to use the inverted pyramid model of writing, the way you see that in news and blogs in general. You need to have that sort of a format of presenting all your mobile data as well. And last but not the least, what channels do you pick? Your channel needs to identify with the brand story and should allow your format to shine as well. And is this channel right for the target audience that you have in mind? Whether it's SMS, WhatsApp, social media, or even platforms which are gated communities like DocPlexus. Identify the channel and use that very well for your content dissemination. So that's the response that I would like to give.
Very interesting, Mukesh. I think what you said, it makes so much sense that it's not only what you say in terms of content, which has to be great, but also social listening, which is going to feed into that content. Also, what format you are going to use. So there are definite capabilities that are required, and maybe some kind of upskilling the sales and marketing teams have to go through. So, Mukesh, if I ask you, I often hear from my friends in the industry is that it's great to talk about digital, but in the end, I mean, does it really deliver? And then, if it has to deliver on my business goals, in terms of sales and prescription, then how is it going to really work? So, so how do you expect these digital strategies to generate business, and how should one look at it in the end? I mean, it's not only what they deliver, but very importantly, do we have the right way of looking at what it is delivering? So what's your take on that?
Thanks, Corey. First and foremost, I'm still, in a little spellbound with Anil's way of navigating that very, very tricky question. So it's nice to hear that. But coming to your question, and I think this point about whether digital generates business or not, and how do we measure it, is going to be one of those things that I think we need another webinar for sure. But obviously, it is impossible for me to answer that in a short span of time. But I would probably start with a couple of examples. On DocPlexus, we have had the privilege of hosting a couple of brands which come from very good reputed multinationals, and one of them is also from an Indian organization. And one of them is a legacy brand. The others are not really legacy brands. They come from different segments. They have different specialities, but they do not have a sales force. And they have chosen exclusively digital channels to put themselves out there, and they have been there for a while with us. So what works really well? Am I audible? I'm hearing some feedback.
No, you're pretty audible. There
Okay,
was
cool.
a bit of noise at the end, but you're quite audible.
Thank you. So, so we've had the privilege of hosting these brands, and it's obviously a learning journey for us as well because it's an iterative process. With these brands, we have regular data analysis, we have regular insights, social listening, like I spoke about, but the data goes into further details like where are these doctors coming from who are consuming my content? What is the average time they spend on my content? What formats are working better? What are not? Which days of the week are they coming, and which day, which point of the day, which part of the day works really, really well. For example, one of the recent surveys coming from LinkedIn said that Wednesday first half in India works the best to have the most amount of engagement when you're posting new content. So there are similar trends, and they are obviously dynamic. That might change, but at the same time, it's exciting for us to be able to work with such brands that have inputted all their effort into purely digital channels, and they haven't really invested much in sales. Like I said, one of them comes as a legacy brand. So, the way Anil mentioned about textbook brands, it's one of those. And obviously, it works really well for that brand. But the others also, though they are not textbook brands, they are relatively newer and younger brands. They have been able to make that investment. I don't want to sound very theoretical, but Kotler speaks about 7 communication objectives. So as a brand manager, you need to identify what objective is that aligns with your brand and which channels work really well for that. And your entire experience, be it digital or physical, needs to be set with those kind of things in place. Coming to metrics, in DocPlexis, we use a couple of frameworks. Again, not trying to be theoretical, but we really do this on a daily basis. We use a modified version of the Pirate metrics, which I'm quite sure a lot of my fellow marketers would be aware of, by David McClure. But we modified that slightly. So the AARR metrics, we are using the AARR metrics, which is for acquisition, activation, retention, and revenue, obviously. So when you speak about metrics like those, each of those are elements which have parameters in them. So when you talk about acquisition, you are talking about CPC, CPM, customer acquisition cost, which is CAC, number of people who are coming to your platform, the traffic basically on a daily basis. When you're talking about activation, you're talking about how many people are subscribing to you, how many people are, visiting you in a way that there is a certain amount of time that they're spending, and so on and so forth. You're also looking at retention, which is how many people have been coming again and again to you. Is the number of minutes that they're spending on an average basis, is that increasing? What's the duration between 2 visits? And how are you engaging them better? And obviously revenue comes in when you are comparing all of these things with the actual sales eventually. We still take into consideration the lifetime value of a customer as well as CAC. But for the particular brands that I'm talking about, they always corroborate the metrics that they get from our platform with the actual sales. So they want to know where their sales have come from, and has the engagement actually been as much on the digital channels like ours, and do they really connect? And they have actually identified a proportionate trend. So they've been able to match that, higher the engagement of a certain specialty audience in a certain geography as well, because we're able to identify that, also defining behavioral metrics or demographic metrics like younger, elder, senior specialists, and so on. They've been able to corroborate that with their sales numbers that they've been able to receive. And one very interesting insight that we've been able to see is that they were targeting, let's say, X, Y, Z specialities, but they noticed that there were other specialities which they were not originally targeting, who were consuming that content a lot. And they understood that there is a gap that they've been able to uncover, and there is an unmet need in that specialty. And they've been able to include that also in their communication channels after that. They tweaked their positioning a little bit based on that. And again, social listening really helps. So business can really align with what you do digitally. I think I have extreme amount of faith in that, and someone has to really visit us and work with us, understand that more.
Yeah, very interesting, Mukesh. I mean, AARR model is one which is used across, and we have a lot of similarities with even FMCGs who use
Right.
digital, and they use surrogate ways, and we have all those options open. It's just that our mindset has to change a bit, maybe.
The only additional point, Gauri, which I wanted to mention is that as pharmaceutical or healthcare industry, we are obviously regulated. So we also have to keep in mind that we have compliance norms around a lot of things, be it AdvaMed or even UCPMP and GDPR, which is obviously on the data prevention, data protection. But keeping those compliances in place as well, you still will be able to manage to directly measure a lot of the output. So that was something that I missed out on adding.
Yeah, no, that's very critical. I mean, that's very important point when we compare everything with FMCG.